Maybe someone should log into the stream and just make sure that sound's coming through. If you want headphones, I can give you some headphones so you're not overriding everything. But it doesn't really matter. But basically today, we're gonna quickly go over how to brief little 3D model tutorial in Blender. And the biggest things I want to focus on is how to incorporate 3D painting into Blender, because it's a really, really great and really easy way to do texturing. And I know that the majority of us in this club are programmers, but the thing is about game development is there's so much art in it that we're all going to become artists as well. So learn how to 3D model, because it's going to be very important. Also we're going to have to be there's going to be a lot of 2D art that we're going to need to do as well, like menus, logos, buttons, any kind of layout you could really think of will have to be some form of little PNG or something drawn up. So anyways, let's with much ado, let's just cruise into this. First things first, what should I make? You guys care? Anybody have any preferences? I figure we'll put something in that we can make into the game. Well, I want to animate it as well. But I mean, we could do a tree and we could just have it kind of swing, maybe. It's kind of boring though. Okay. What would the satellite be? Oh, maybe we can make a little box. Maybe this will be like our save, right? Our checkpoint station, and then we'll have a little satellite on top that spins around the satellite. We can do that. That'll be easy, and that'll be good too, because it'll be simple to start with a box. Okay, so let's get into it. First thing I always like to do is when I'm modeling, grab all the edges, grab all the vertices, and make sure the bottom of the object is on the bottom. Because when you import this into Unity, it's going to put this little dot, wherever this little dot is, it's going to think that that's its point of origin. So when you drop something into Unity, if you're trying to drop it right on top of a train or something, it'll drop it in the middle because the point is in the middle, so it thinks it's central, and origin point is the center. When in all reality, we probably want it on the bottom. So I would say pretty much every model we make, probably want to do that down there. Also, that way when we scale it, you can see it scales from this point, so it's always going to stay on the ground floor, which is what we want. Okay, so let's make this little comm watchtower checkpoint thing, whatever. So I'm just gonna start going here. If you have any questions, definitely stop me. I guess I should probably think about how I actually want this thing to look. Imagine it'll kind of pump up like this. Maybe these will come out a little bit on the sides. Okay, I kind of see what you're saying. Maybe like maybe these four corners will pop open. This little thing can come out and start rotating. Okay, yeah, we could do that. So the first thing we're gonna need to do then is give this thing an inside as well, which is fine. I gotta remember all these keybinds now. I want to cut this with V, not with V, with oh man, I don't remember how to cut these two. Cutting an edge. No, I'm not putting an edge. I want to separate these two so I can pull them apart. There's the subdivision. Not quite. No. What I'm trying to do is very specific. Right? You can, maybe it's over here where I do it. What's it called? Man, this is so bad. See, this is what happens when you don't do Blender very much. I'm trying to rip. Where's rip? No, there's different keybinds. I don't remember what the search keybind is. I don't remember what a lot of this stuff is, but that's okay. It's got to be in here somewhere. I think it's in edges. I think it's just called rip. It's got to be in here somewhere. Rip, Alt V. Okay, so if you rip it, right, then it's going to cut it like this. Then you're going to have these two Two different things. Okay, so it's Alt-V is the keybind, in case anyone's wondering. Actually, I gotta rethink this. Because we wanted this thing to open up.
You could just delete the faces and then extrude the...
Good idea. Good idea. Work. Then we'll just merge these in the central point, and then we'll extrude these out to make them kind of like little lids. Whoa. Up. Like that. Let's grab their individual origins. Oh no, we do want to use median point. Pull these in, and then we're going to make them a little bit bigger as well here in a second. That'll come up, these will come out. So we want these really close, but we don't actually want them connected. We can have them touching, that's fine. Actually, we're going to keep this. Yeah, oh, good idea. Good idea. Then I don't have to make half of it. Well, but the internal part that's going to have a little thing come up, that won't be mirrored. But, oh, and just do like different layers. I could definitely do that. Oh, did I leave extra faces? I think I did. These extra little edges that I made here. Gotta delete them all. Made them so close. See? I should have kept them far apart, but that's okay. Okay, there we go. That's that. Good, good. This thing will be able to open up. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to keep these apart quite a ways, because when we go through and we're painting it, we're texturing it, it's going to be really hard to paint inside this little crack. So what we'll do is we'll pull these apart a little bit. We'll keep it in its open position. I'm just doing a quick little tutorial in Blender on ideally how to 3D paint, but this is going to end, eventually it's going to end up being a quick tutorial on how to on adding bones and animating, as well as 3D painting, as well as just basic how to use Blender. But I'm not really going over how I'm like what buttons I'm pressing for each step, so I'm just kind of making Oh yeah, and this thing, maybe we could just have it slide open like that. That'd be kind of cool.
There's one extra 3 cards and then rotate out and then
That won't be too bad. We can wait the individual vertices, and we can have it control exactly what we want it to control. This is going to be our checkpoint for the player. So when you get to these checkpoints, they will open up like so. This thing will be down here. And it'll just be like these boxes that are going to be like kind of techie looking boxes. They're going to be kind of covered in steampunk-esque looking stuff. And then when you walk up to it, it'll slide open here, as well as having this part pop open like that. And then inside, we're going to have a little thing that's going to pop out. It's going to tell us. It's going to inform us of. It's going to tell us that we are now able to set a checkpoint here. Alright. That's probably a good starting spot. Now we can go inside. Now we're going to actually apply this mirror modifier. Or. No, it won't. No, it won't. Yeah. I'm just going to add. Just going to add a new object. Oh yeah, it will. It'll totally mess up the UVs. So I'm actually going to make it all as one object. So I'm going to apply this. And then we're going to need to build. We're going to need to build the actual thing that's going to come out. Right? We're going to build that out of this. Extrude these here. And this is weird because it's a triangle, but we can fix that. I'm going to bisect. Actually, I'm going to do that earlier. So one of the cool things in Blender that I don't think I've ever talked about before is bisecting. So if you have an individual like this, like I want to turn this triangle into a square, right? I don't like working with 3 vertices. I want to work with 4. So I can click this bisect button over here, and I can go and anywhere along this line. If I want to make that a square, I can just click it there, and it'll know. You got to make sure that you have the active object selected that you want to use, though. All right, now I can shrink this down a little bit, and I can make it uniform. Square to work with. Probably putting way too much detail in this. I don't know if we'll get to 3D painting, but we'll just make it quick, right? Oh, I don't like that angle either. It's okay. No. This thing just doesn't want me to click it for some reason. So this is gonna have to come out. So that's great. We'll use this object right here, this little column. We'll put a bone in there, and this will just extrude it up when we want it to come up, and it'll just sink back down when we want it to go down. So with that stated, we should probably lower this to its base level. Actually, I'm gonna keep everything open right now. This is going to end up becoming. This thing needs to freely spin, so I'm gonna actually unattach these. And fill it with F, Alt F, I mean. Alt F. And now, while these are 2 different objects, I'll have a bone that's connecting them, so it's going to think it's one. Unless there's some other cool way to do it that I don't know. But this will allow us, and then we'll build the actual little radar thing on top of this, and then so this thing will freely be able to spin while not affecting anything else. And I don't really know how I'm going to actually build this little radar. What does a radar look like? So it has to become flat, be inward a little bit. I'm trying in my mind to think of what a radar actually looks like. I guess I could just add a cylinder to it. It's going to be huge, so we'll sink this down to like 16 edges. Oh man, why does this not work? I'm so confused why Blender's been doing this sometimes. It won't let me rotate for some reason. I mean, if I grab the top part, I can move it, but then that doesn't really give it a true rotation, because then it can rotate it. Exactly, but yeah, that's true. I can do it manually. Rotate. Actually, it's not. It's, I think, Control R. No, that's loop cut. Whatever. It's fine. It's fine. I mean, this isn't going to be perfect. This isn't going to be like a finished product, right? This is just going to be a quick little thing, and then we're going to probably do this again on Wednesday a little bit. Give it a little more detail. This will be the last official Monday meeting, yeah, but I'm still going to be coming in here on Mondays just to, I'll probably be working on stuff and just kind of hanging out and working on the game. So you guys feel free to join me on Mondays, but this will be the last, this is probably the last Monday that I live stream. I probably won't live stream Mondays anymore. Okay, we'll extrude this into being really small because this is going to be our little point that comes out from the antenna. It's got to be even smaller, I think. I don't really know the shape that an antenna has. I'm not really doing too hot here on this thing, but that's okay. Okay, that kind of looks like an antenna disc, sort of, maybe, slightly. And now we gotta attach it somehow. It's gonna spin. This be like attached to this guy right here, but it's also gonna have to be a lot smaller. Now I realize it's gonna fit inside this little box. So I guess it was good being smaller. Will that fit? Maybe. I guess I could also move this thing back. I'll have to move this back a little bit. Okay, whatever. I'm just gonna slowly throw this thing together, and then we'll get it. And then we'll get into 3D painting, because that's like the big thing that I want to just cover today and show you guys is how to 3D paint in Blender. Okay, so this is gonna be good enough for now. So typically you will go through and you'll cut all of your UVs. You'll cut every single line to cut things out properly. But we might be able to skip that step depending on what Blender lets us do. But so typically we would have to like select this and we want to cut it out. So we go over to our shading UVs and we want to mark a seam. And the seams will be marked by red, right? And we want to maybe cut it in half. So it'd be easier to cut, right? And mark a seam there, mark a seam all these places. But what we're going to do is we're going to see what Blender wants us, what Blender thinks is a good idea. And we're going to select the whole thing. Control A to select everything. And then we're going to go to Unwrap Smart UV Project. And what this does is that what Blender tries to do is it tries to unwrap it as best as possible off what it thinks the layout should be. So click Smart, UV Unwrap, go into your UV image editor while it's still selected. And that's not bad. I mean, we got some stuff down here that might be kind of weird, but depending on what we're actually painting in there, it might be fine. So we'll leave that for now as is. And when you unwrap, typically you'll mark all these seams, and then you'll unwrap it with these marked seams. You'll have something looking like this. You'll want it to be as understandable as possible as to what is what. I know this really isn't right now, but that's okay because this is quick. So now that that's created, what we're going to do is we're going to make a new image for it. We'll call you, I might be doing this backwards, but we'll call you checkpoint. And let's give it a default color of like light gray, right? And now that's going to paint everything white. And if we want to see that reflected onto the actual 3D object at runtime, we'll click on the object and we're going to go down to shading and then click on textured solid. Make sure that that's checked. Now you don't really notice a huge difference because it went from being gray to slightly lighter color of gray, but you might be able to tell that it's kind of changing. Okay, so now what we're going to do is the actual 3D painting. Go and make sure that you have the object selected. Go into texture paint. And now it ends up being completely pink. And okay, yeah, that's fine. Okay, so we're going to add a paint slot. Oh yeah, okay, so we're going to need to make a new texture. So we're going to add a paint slot. We're going to call it this one. So this is going to be real checkpoint. And then we'll make this a color that'll stand out, right? We'll make it like green or something. Now we add that. Okay, there's that, and now we can go down here. Okay, now we want to go down into our UV image editor and select the color that we just made. And now this will kind of reflect it here, right? So this is just showing us what all these colors are. Let's select that. And now we have this object, right? So once we've gone in here into texture paint, we've added a new material to it. Now we can just go ahead and we can paint it directly on there however we want it, right? So let's make it a little smaller. Make like 15, and this is the opacity. So I usually like to start at 100 to give it a full base, and then you can just paint on it, right? Now it just does whatever you want, and it's cool because it's going to generate a PNG file down here. That's hard to tell because of the color I chose, but I guess you can kind of see it. So it's going to create a PNG file that's going to do exactly what we did do before, right? But it does it in 3-dimensional space instead of having to cut everything and do it in 2-dimensional space. So then we can paint it as is, right? We can, I mean, I guess we kind of want to give it like a, this is going to be so bad. I'm a terrible artist, but that's okay. So we can give it kind of like a brown-ish. We can make this big. This will be its default color. We can do it this way, or if we want to do it a little bit quicker, or even more precise, we can go down here and we can change this from view to paint. And then we can just paint directly on this thing, right? So if I just wanted to make it all one color real fast, I can give it a huge radius. I can just go in here and just paint it, and like so, it is going to be reflected on this thing as well as being painted that color. So that's in a nutshell 3D painting, right? And then you can go through and create specifics. Like this is going to be it's probably going to be a gray thing. So I want to paint this thing all gray. Okay, perfect. Now you see how it's kind of not really filled in like that? That's because what we're painting is this part here. If I can remember how to move this, I don't remember how. But what I can do is we can go into view. We can select this whole object. grab just these parts and I can focus it, and that'll allow me to kind of change. It's sort of a quick fix. Right, so I'm going to go in here, I'm going to paint this, and when I was zoomed out a little bit, it didn't paint everything fully. You can see it's not painting these lines. So for whatever reason, you get in there and you're like, oh man, I want to get there's just these little parts that aren't perfect. You can go into paint down here, and then you can also paint on it. So this little disc we want to be all gray. So we're going to give it a quick gray paint. So I mean, you can kind of see the drawbacks of doing it this way versus the other way, and vice versa. I mean, you know, there's no right way to do it, no wrong way really to do it. So we can do it like that, or we can do it like this. I'm gonna make the radius a little bit bigger and just do it this way. I like to paint in 3D. It allows me to visualize what I'm doing a little bit better. But it'll also, though, you'll also sometimes paint something down there that you don't mean to paint, right? So just kind of keep an eye out what you're doing. Oh, cool. Oh, cool. I didn't even know that. See, that's awesome. That'll be super helpful. You can probably go. I'm sure there's some setting in here that'll allow you to do it. Texture mask. Okay. Well. Okay, so I can go in through and I can take all these guys, I'm sure. Yeah, or you can, I can press M and I can move it to, oh no, I think it's only objects. Okay, yeah. Shift H, Control H, Control H. Now how do I get to show back up? Uh-oh. This is object mode though. I need to be back in edit mode and get my thing to show. So Control H is to hide it. Control H does not show it. Control S probably saves it. Yeah, I think if you go all and you do Control H and it should appear. That's what I just did. That's how that's how this thing disappeared. Yeah, I know. Okay, so we can hide it with Control H. I'm sure we can show it some way. Yeah, you can Control Z back, but I think that it'll be better because we don't want people, because Control Z, like if I wanted to hide it and then I wanted to just paint this specific thing, then I wouldn't want to be able to Control Z to get it back. So I'm sure there's some way in here we can show. All right, someone might need to Google this. Yeah, I have the most updated version. I updated today just to make sure. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I guarantee we're pretty much out of time, so I'm just gonna keep doing this until I find it. You guys are free to go. But I'm sure there's a way in here somewhere, just like you said, it'll be like a show/hide. Show hide right here. Perfect. Very top. Oh, Shift Control H. Okay. Shift Control H. And that shows all hidden. Okay, so mesh, go up to the top, show hide, hide selected, and hide unselected. Okay, and then show the hidden ones. Cool. So now that makes sense. Okay, so we hide it, Control H, and let's say we want to paint it some crazy color like, oh wait, but I don't think you can hide it in texture painting. Yeah, so then we'll have to deal with the masking. I don't know how to set that up right now, but that's okay. I'm sure it's the same kind of thing. You probably select a bunch of vertices, and then maybe down in here, view it. Sorry, where? When you switch to paint mode, like on the view tab, very bottom, there's a mask. Now, whatever you paint there, I think you can have. Okay, but how am I determining what is masked? Yeah, I'm not on the textures too. I'll look it up. I'll figure out how to do it. Oh, maybe now I can only paint what I have selected. Maybe that's kind of what, or maybe not. No. I don't know. Okay, anyways, that's very quick addition on how to 3D texture. I hope you guys at least understand how to go about setting it up, right? I mean, if you can't figure out how to mask it, that's okay. I mean, just be careful with it when you're painting. Make sure that you don't overlap on stuff, and if you do, just go back through and fix it. You can also, there's one last thing I'll tell you guys about. If you wanted to paint specific textures, right? If you wanted to look like bumpy or wavy or something like that, you can go down here into the actual texture object, and you can make a new texture, and you can add that. And this will paint it with whatever texture you have. And that's how you do like a more organic looking surface or something along those lines. But anyways, all right, thanks guys. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for watching.